Mahalo, Lynn. Thank you so much. And thank you, Chris. Thank you for your lovely sharing. I always enjoy hearing you also. And looking forward to hearing Maureen there. And I think Maureen is coming on next at 8 o'clock. I think I heard Lynn say that she'll be on next. So looking forward to hearing you, Maureen. Aloha. And yesterday, I opened the Course in Miracles to any page, which I love to do with any book at any time. I always find there's always beautiful messages flowing. Hey, Robbie. Aloha, Robbie. And yesterday, there was a beautiful section I read early on in the text. And this section was steps in releasing the obstacles to love and realizing, being aware of the fear, realizing that we must be able to know what the fear is, and that old saying, we must know what we don't want to make way for what we do want, which really reminds me of this journey into with our eyes opening, our heart opening, is really becoming very aware of the blockages to love. And I just opened the Course again, just as I did yesterday, and this section really kind of intertwines, and I feel really good about it. As soon as I opened it, I was like, okay, this feels good. And the actual topic on this, I'm in chapter 19 today, and the topic is obstacles to peace. And this is, I actually do have the sparkly open here on page 459. And so let me share some of this. I just kind of skimmed it. I only opened this to any page like a couple of minutes ago. And I just got a really good feeling about it, so I just had skimmed. But now, so let's have a look here at this beautiful message, the obstacles to peace. So it's in, let's see, we've got here, it's got number 1. Let me see, is there a number 2? I'm just turning the page. Okay, it's got 1. And then there's a topic here, the desire to get rid of. The desire to get rid of. The first obstacle that peace must flow across is your desire to get rid of it. For it cannot extend unless you keep it. You are the center from which it radiates outward to call the others in. I'm just going to stop there. This morning in my sitting in my meditation with these steps in wave mastery, as I'm going through the lessons, I spend 5 minutes or so sitting in asking what it would be like to sit in the chair here and now as the awakened Christ. And a beautiful few minutes in sitting in that contemplation. And some of what was the sharing that arose yesterday, and also what came up in my meditation this morning, was the clarity that our brother is the answer. The brother is the answer in that we call to our brother to witness the truth in our brother, the God self, the higher self, our higher self in our brother, so that we may know it in ourselves, so that we may remember who we are. And so we appear to be giving something outward to our brother, and then in that holy instant, we open up, our heart is open, and we realize we just gave it to ourselves. We realize that the gift is ultimately always for self, as there is one self. So you are, just reading that last sentence again, you are the content from which it radiates outward to call the others in. You are its home, its tranquil dwelling place, from which it gently reaches out, but never leaving you. If you would make it homeless, how can it abide within the Son of God? If it would spread across the whole creation, it must begin with you. and from you reach to everyone who calls, and bring him rest by joining you. When we see this, what Jesus is telling us here, and from you reach to everyone who calls, we become the witness. We come to realize that it's either love or it's a call for love. And that we come to see that in our unaware state, or in the mirror in our brother of our unaware state, we become the witness of the call for love. That unawareness, in that unaware state, is the call for love. As we step back out of unawareness and we become aware, from this place of awareness, we're witnessing the unaware state of our brother who is the mirror, playing his part perfectly in reflecting, in revealing to us what we're giving to ourselves. We're ultimately always giving to ourselves. And what our brother is mirroring to us is revealing to us where our thoughts are, where our belief system is, who are we joining with. I'm just having a little reading on here. Why would you want peace homeless? What do you think that it must dispossess to dwell with you? What seems to be the cost you are so unwilling to pay? The little barrier of sand still stands between you. Would you reinforce it now? You are not asked to let it go for yourselves alone. Christ asks it of you for himself. He would bring peace to everyone. And how can he do this except through you? I'm just stopping there. Coming to realize that the beautiful part that we play, we come to find that we are ultimately waking ourselves up everywhere. We come to find that every brother, here's our opportunity again for our awakening and wakening ourselves up. If we're stepping back and looking through the eyes of love, looking from awareness, from our aware state, and we're witnessing an unaware state of our brother, that mirror effect of the unaware state, recognizing, here's a beautiful opportunity to wake myself up right here now. Here's another perfect opportunity. We turn to another brother, stepping back, being in our aware state, choosing awareness, choosing our truth, looking through the eyes of love. We look upon our brother. And if we're witnessing again an unaware state, we have a perfect opportunity to reach out and to embrace our brother. We come to realize that we're ultimately waking ourselves up all over the place. We're ultimately embracing self and bringing self back to self. We come to witness that the separation and our belief in the separation, turning our back on God, is pushing self away, believing that there can be multiple selves, there can be separate selves, believing that it's the survival of the fittest, that we must survive, believing that one can harm the other. We come to realize that each mirror, each brother is our ticket home, and that our eyes may awaken more and more as we turn to each brother and embrace each brother, knowing we come to realize that we are ultimately, it is like a selfish path. In a sense, there's one of us here. We're ultimately waking ourselves up. And every opportunity we turn to look at the mirror of our brother, and in his unaware state, realize that's our unaware state that still is calling out for love, calling to awaken, and that we hold the key. We ultimately come to realize that we have the key within our heart. That we each have the key within our heart, that there is one heart here that's confused. And that as we turn within to our one heart, looking through the eyes of love, from awareness, being in that aware state, aware of truth, aware of God, aware of Christ's mind, aware of the answer from God, aware of the atonement, handing ourselves over to the atonement, listening listening and following the way of truth. And we realize that we do hold the key right here in our heart. And that became very clear to me. I remember a couple of years ago, becoming very clear one day, taking a step back, becoming very aware that my heart had been closed. And that coming to realize that the awakening is the heart opening. The awakening is the willingness to teach only love. The willingness to release everything that is not love. And this section here, the obstacles to peace, we come to realize that we are the only obstacle. And all we need to do is sit down and rest a while and relax. Choose awareness, choose the aware state, choose our true self. So we may look through the eyes of our true self. And lo and behold, we come to find that we are all knowledge. This knowledge that's arising as we're looking through the eyes of love, from this aware state, the knowledge that's arising is our own truth, our own knowledge. We are that knowledge. We come to realize that we are the knowledge of God. All the knowledge that's coming forward, all that's arising is in fact ourself, our heart speaking, our one heart sharing the knowledge of God, the will of God, and that we are that. We are the abundance. We come to realize that as we begin to release these obstacles to peace, as we release all that is not love, we become very aware of the fear. We become aware of the feeling of resistance. And we take full responsibility. I remember that was quite a shift on my journey in realizing that, there's nowhere to push it out to anymore. It's no use being a victim when we just stay stuck. And we're spinning our own wheels in wet mud. We choose to remain a victim and believe that there's possibly someone separate that can do or say something that can harm us. Coming to realize that anything that a brother says or does is a mirror of our own thoughts, a mirror of our belief system. Coming to realize that in turning our back on God, in that unaware state, we are just caught in that wheel. It's like the hamster wheel. It goes round and round. We end up with backpacks on and dumbbells in each hand, and we're running around the wheel in an unaware state. In that unawareness, love is always calling. Our truth is always beckoning. And then we begin to hear it. We begin to listen. We realize there's a knowledge within that's greater than any knowledge of this world. There's a knowledge within that knows all that's unfolding, that can guide me to something into the seeming future. This knowledge that knows all. We come to find that there is, that time is an illusion, and that all is known right here, right now, in the presence of truth. And that falling into this place of our aware state, that we are able to listen to our truth, able to listen to this knowledge, the knowledge of God. Just looking forward here into this section, I also open to a lesson and see if there's anything else that's standing out to me. Okay, I'm feeling to read here this section. This is again in the same section, and it's called Obstacles to Peace, in lesson 19. Towards the end here, I'm going to read from this paragraph my eyes kind of danced to and felt moved to read. To overcome the world is no more difficult than to surmount your little war. For in the miracle of your relationship Without this barrier is every miracle contained. There is no order of difficulty in miracles, for they are all the same. Each is a gentle winning over from the appeal of guilt to the appeal of love. Isn't that beautiful? Each is a gentle winning over from the appeal of guilt to the appeal of love. So a winning over from listening to the voice of fear to listening to the voice of love. But now we're hearing the call for love. Now we're hearing the call to return home. My computer started playing a slideshow or something then. Looking where I was at here. Each is a gentle winning over from the appeal of guilt to the appeal of love. How can this fail to be accomplished wherever it is undertaken? How can this fail to be accomplished wherever it is undertaken? Guilt can raise no real barriers against it, and all that seems to stand between you must fall away because of the appeal you answered. And all that seems to stand between you must fall away because of the appeal you answered. So the obstacles to peace falling away in that holy moment of turning to face love, of listening. And it's so, I remember looking through the eyes of complication a number of years ago, even when Lee Jan Polsky said to me, just choose love. Just choose love. I was looking for steps and a complicated path, I guess. And when he offered just choose love, I didn't believe it. I thought there has to be more. He's not giving it to me. And coming to find today that ultimately what we're doing is choosing love in every moment. When we choose, when we listen to the voice of fear, when we've heard it enough, and we realize that that's not my choice, we know the voice of fear now. We witness that that's not going to bring me peace. That's not going to bring the truth. That's not this knowledge that knows all, this beautiful knowledge that's arising from within, that has all these answers that are always just so spot on. We see that this voice of fear is a voice to lay down, and we come to find that it's not a voice to run from, it's not a voice to fix, that there's no fixing in the language of fear. And that all we can do is look at it and know it, realize that that's not my choice, and choose again. And this time we choose love. We come to see that ultimately this journey is becoming clear on what we don't want so that we know what we do want. So we become clear. And there's a beautiful section in here where it just became crystal clear to me one day when I had read this again, not the first time, but again I had read this, and this time it really kind of hit me over the head, where Jesus tells us to take a good look at the darkness, to not shy away from the darkness. He asks us to have a good look, and of course to look with Holy Spirit. He asks us to take a look with the Holy Spirit and not turn away from it, not shy away from it, because we must know that it's not something fearful, it's not something to be fixed or to be changed. It's not something to run away from, but it's something to be looked at through the eyes of love. And as we look through the eyes of love, the seriousness of the story just dissipates, and as we realize that it was all in our imagination, that we've been making it all up. As one of us confused, we realize that we were the confused one. We were confused for just a moment, and that now we get to look through the eyes of love, and now we get to choose again. And every time I see the simplicity today in choosing love is that all that Jesus is telling us here is, turn around and face God again. Turn around and face the answer from God. Turn around and face the atonement. Turn around and look at your truth again. Turn around to the knowledge of God. Turn around and face heaven. Letting us know that in listening to the voice of fear, we turned our back on love. We were afraid of love. We were afraid to turn around and face love. And soon enough we come to find that we can trust in love. We can trust in this knowledge. That these feelings that are coming forth from within that are guiding us are feelings to listen to. A guidance from our source of oneness with truth from within. And we come to find that turning to face love is choosing love. That's all choosing love is. Turn to face love. Listen to love. Love will show us the way, and looking through the eyes of love will reveal the crazy, tiny, mad idea that is just only that, a tiny, mad idea, and that it was only in our imagination. And love will reveal that we all of a sudden will see that we made it up. We made up the story of separation, and that it's not our truth. Here, whoops. I want to do that. That's my tea there. Okay. Just going to read on from where I left off there. For from you who answered, he who answered you would call. His home is in your holy relationship. Do not attempt to stand between him and his holy purpose, for it is yours. But let him quietly extend the miracle of your relationship to everyone contained in it as it was given. And that old saying that, we go home, or the beautiful message saying from Jesus, that we go home together or not at all. And we come to find that that's a pretty clear offering there. We go home together or not at all. And if we think that we're forgiven every brother, and we feel that we've got the ticket home, then we ask ourselves to have a look. Is there everyone in the world can we accept? Have we forgiven? Do we feel love for everyone, every passerby? And then we can ask ourselves to take a good look. And one of my beautiful teachers was Hitler. I remember really questioning myself, could I love this person? And then I was guided to watch a number of movies. And I was also guided to take whole responsibility, as I was choosing to see it through the eyes of fear, and I wanted to resist it, wanted to push it away, and I was saying, well, that's their forgiveness from the 40s, 1940s, that's their forgiveness. That's not my forgiveness, that's theirs. And gosh, this happened so long ago in time, that's over and done with. The Holy Spirit said, not so quickly. Let's have a look at this. And I was beckoned. The message came through. Take a look for the whole. Take a look for the whole. And we come to find that every time we're willing to take a look at the darkness, that we indeed are looking for the whole. We're looking for the whole sonship. As Jesus, in his crucifixion, turned to the truth. That he turned to the truth for the whole sonship. Process was for the whole, and that we were in the awakened state there as he awoke, as one self waking up, that we were not separate. As I had read, when I had read that Jesus had said, I did it for you. You only need remember now. And I remember at first not, kind of being a little lost with the feeling that he had done it before, and that so it was completed. The atonement was completed, and that he had did it for all of us, and that now we're remembering our awakening. And and as I sat, I turned within and asked questions. And what I love is asking, you shall receive. When we turn within and we ask, we'll always know in a holy instant. The answer arises in a holy instant. And as I turned within, the answer arose. And then I could see that, yes, Well, of course, there's one self-awakening. Our awakened presence was, of course, joined in oneness with the Christ mind as it awoke. The first to accomplish the atonement. And realizing that, yes, we are awake and we're remembering. We come to realize as we really sit in quiet, listening to the guidance of truth, that the Holy Present is right here, right now, that heaven is right here, right now, that there is no place to run to, there's no place to get to, there's nothing to fix, and there's nothing to change. I'm just looking at where I left off here. I'm feeling to read a little more from this section. Just read that last sentence again. But let him quietly extend the miracle of your relationship to everyone contained in it as it was given. There is a hush in heaven, a happy expectancy, a little pause of gladness in accomplishment of the journey's end. For heaven knows you well, as you know heaven. No illusions stand between you now. Look not upon the little wall of shadows. The sun has risen over it. How can a shadow keep you from the sun? No more can you be kept by shadows from the light in which illusions end. Every miracle is but the end of an illusion. Every miracle is but the end of an illusion. Such was the journey, such its ending, and in the goal of truth which you accepted must all illusions end. The little insane wish to get rid of him who you invited in and push him out must produce conflict. I'll read that again. The little insane wish to get rid of him who you invited in and push him out must produce conflict. As you look upon the world, this little wish, uprooted and floating aimlessly, can land and settle briefly upon anything, for it has no purpose now. Before the Holy Spirit entered to abide with you, it seemed to have a mighty purpose. The fixed and unchangeable dedication to sin and its results. Now it is aimless, wandering pointlessly, causing no more than tiny interruptions in love's appeal. And that's so beautiful as our eyes are opening, as our hearts are opening, and we come to realize that the interruptions are fewer and far between. As we journey on, we come to realize that these interruptions, the obstacles to peace, don't hold the seeming strength, and that's our attachment, that our attachment has fallen away. Our attachment, we've loosened our grip on the dream of the story of separation. We've just loosened our grip, and now we're trusting more in love, less in fear, less in the story of separation, and more in the atonement. I'm going to read on here. The feather of a wish, this tiny illusion, this microscopic remnant of the belief in sin, is all that remains of what once seemed to be the world. It is no longer an unrelenting barrier to peace. Its pointless wandering makes its results appear to be more erratic and unpredictable than before. Yet what could be more unstable than a tightly organized delusional system? Its seeming stability is its pervasive weakness, which extends to everything. The variability which the little remnant induces merely indicates its limited results. Yeah, what once appeared strength, now we see is its weakness. And what once appeared as weakness, now we see as strength. As we choose to face God, face the atonement, we're witnessing the strength of God, the power of ourselves, the strength of ourselves. We become the witness, and we become the witness of the weakness of the story as it's weakening, the world, the dream world, as it weakens, as it has no hold. And now we begin to witness the happy dream, embracing everything in our path, realizing that all is arising from the core of who we are. And there is one core of all of us, one heart. And all is arising from that one heart. There's one of us confused and one of us waking up. One of us has woken up. How mighty can a little feather be before the great wings of truth? How mighty can a little feather be before the great wings of truth? Can it oppose an eagle's flight or hinder the advance of summer? Can it interfere with the effects of summer's sun upon a garden covered by the snow? See but how easily this little wisp is lifted up and carried away, never to return, and part with it in gladness, not regret. For it is nothing in itself and stood for nothing when you had greater faith in its protection. Would you not rather greet the summer sun than fix your gaze upon a disappearing snowflake and shiver in remembrance of the winter's cold? You know, and just in reading this, that's the end of that section there. In reading this, you know, just the clarity of the faith that we once held in the dream world, for the illusion, the faith we had in listening to the fearful voice, that it would somehow fix things, that we would somehow be fulfilled some place, someday, by some relationship or some event. Something would fulfill us. There was the answer. And deep down we knew in our hearts that there was an answer. We continued to listen to the little voice of fear and had faith in that little voice, hoping that one day it would deliver and fill that void. And we come to find that now the faith is moved and moving mountains. We realize that the faith no longer is in the dream world, in the little voice of fear, but now our faith has grown ever strongly in listening to the voice of love. So much so that we realize that this faith that we are holding is our true self. The faith that we once had in listening to that voice of fear, that was not a true self. That was a false self. It was an imagined self, something we had made up. And now we come to see that our faith is strengthening day by day as we choose, as we wake up out of bed in the morning. Wave Mastery, Jesus asks us, the very first thing when we wake up out of bed in the morning, he asks us to declare, I need do nothing. I need do nothing. He said it's the first thing, the first place our focus would go to is by letting go of the day as soon as we get out of bed and saying, I need do nothing. And when we say I need do nothing, we begin to move about. No need to sit still and do nothing. We come to realize that when Jesus is asking us to declare I need do nothing, that he's asking the imagined self, the self that we have believed in, to just step down. Realizing that there is a greater self right here, right now. There's a greater aspect, there's a greater truth to ourselves that is holy right here, right now. That as we say, I need do nothing, the separate identity that we believed ourselves to be just can relax and rest a while. Just relax. And that now we can allow love to take over. Love is moving us. And love is revealing the way. We listen. We begin listening first thing in the morning to love by declaring, I need do nothing. And then in the Wave Mastery, Jeshua asks us to also take a look around us at what we're offered all this meaning to drop all the meaning that we've given to everything and see it all as good and holy. We come to realize that as we sit and let go and allow ourselves to just be in that moment, that there is only good and holy. And he also asks us to spend a moment with asking ourselves what it is that we desire. What do we desire? What is it that our hearts are speaking to us? What do we desire? We come to find it's our true self that's speaking the desire, that's living, that now we've offered our separate identity up as a vortex. We've offered ourselves, we've said, I need do nothing. We've offered it as a vortex and an allowance of love to restore our memory, that we may walk in memory rather than in forgetfulness. So we'd be walking in awareness rather than unawareness. Coming to realize that, again, that aware state is just turning to face love, turning to face God, turning to face the atonement, turning to face love, the truth, stepping back into the shoes of truth, and now looking through the eyes of love, and now we go about our day and realize that we've given up having it our way. Now we're taking the highway. We're taking God's way, the high way. Higher Holy Spirit, our higher self. We take the higher way, we take God's way, and we give up the way of fear. We give up the way of forgetfulness. We give up the way of unawareness. And we choose to look upon all this arising as a gift, that we may remember ourselves. We can look upon all that's unaware and realize that it's just our own unawareness being mirrored back to us. And here's another opportunity for our eyes to open wider. And here's another opportunity for our eyes to open wider. And we turn around again, and here's another opportunity for our eyes to open wider. Or for our eyes to close back over, for the veil to fall back down again, if we choose to make separation real, if we choose to follow that voice and ignore the voice of love. There's moments when I look back at my journey when I remember hearing the call for love, hearing the voice, asking very early on in my journey with A Course in Miracles, asking Holy Spirit, please, make me aware throughout the day. I want to be aware so I can practice my forgiveness. I want to be aware in the moment when I'm lost and confused. And then I remember this one time where I had written on this note and put it on the fridge. I'd written, Ian is love, my boyfriend, and Robyn is love. And then I drew love and hearts all around on this paper. And as we were arguing this one day, Holy Spirit did his job, and the awareness kicked in, and the feeling came in, and then as I was quite disconnected in running with this who was right and who was wrong, this feeling, my eyes danced and moved to look at the note on the fridge, and this very quick interjection came in, reminding me of what I'd written on the note. And I actually, in the moment, in my disconnected moment, said to Holy Spirit, not now, I'm busy. So we come to find that, we really do, we have this choice. We have the choice, and that we can, just take a look at our commitment. How committed are we? If we're not tasting the truth, if we're not tasting the knowledge of love, if we're not walking and looking through the eyes of love as often as we would like to on this path, then we must ask ourselves, how committed are we? And I look back at that time and I say, yes, I would have thought so committed. But then, we ask again, how committed am I? How willing am I to walk in truth? And then later on, of course, beating myself up for not listening. And over the years, in our Course in Miracles group, one of the messages I continued to get very early on from the Holy Spirit was awareness is key. Awareness is key. And often, so many times, people would come to group, mirrors would be there beating themselves up as I was beating myself up for not doing forgiveness at times when we had the opportunities. And the message from Holy Spirit came through often. Awareness is key. Just tell them awareness is key. Remember, awareness is key. And coming to realize that awareness, becoming aware, being aware in the moment that, oh gosh, I missed my opportunity yesterday, or I missed my opportunity this morning to forgive. My gosh, I was aware. I am aware now. I am aware now. I've become aware that I missed my opportunity. Thank God for my awareness right now. I am aware of love, and I choose love right now. Now we're facing love in the moment. In our aware state, we're facing love, and we're turning to the truth, and we forgive ourselves. In that holy instant, we forgive ourselves in that unaware state. And we come to realize that unawareness is such an innocent state. Such a beautiful, innocent state. As I look back today, I can laugh. I look back and laugh and have a giggle at that time of, telling Holy Spirit, not now. And back then, did I have a laugh? No. Back then I would, the next day be beating myself up for not practicing forgiveness, for not listening when the message was coming through. And we come to find that all is perfect. That all is perfect. And that, even if we become aware sometime later, a year later, 2 years later, gosh, right now we're moving into the holy present of our aware state. We are aware right now. We're choosing love right now. This whole journey is choosing love. Choosing love again, facing love now, listening to love. Here's the holy present moment right now. And if we forget in the next, that's okay, we'll remember in the next. And when we become aware, now we're standing in the holy moment. Now we're standing with Holy Spirit. Now we're facing love, facing truth. And we go through moments of, I look at my journey and see early on much forgetfulness and moments of remembering. And as I look at my journey, I see it became more remembering and less forgetfulness. More remembering and less forgetfulness. And so interesting, as there's more memory and less forgetfulness, I look at my relationship as being, my romantic relationship as being a good example of the shift in awareness. In the shift, as Ian and I have shared on occasion, that we've watched the shift in our relationship here. It started out to be quite a good forgiveness opportunity in many aspects, and we've watched as peace has just settled over and over again on this relationship, and that we, of course, is and coming to realize again and again over time that there's a mirror right here. There's a mirror that I may learn and see it as my teacher, or play this the victim in the story of separation. But the good news is that it does get easier as our faith is shifting. I see my faith today in spirit is just mountains and mountains above where my faith was, and our faith is continually growing as we listen, and we realize that we come to see that there really is nobody else here. There really is no separate identity here, and we are so one. We are so one, and so in this together. We are so one with God. We're not separate from God. We're not separate from all of it. We are behind everything. We are the confused. We are the awakening, and we are all of it. And where all that is arising is coming from self, is coming from the one self. How can, if we begin to see that there's anything other than self, anything separate from self in any degree, where, again, looking through the eyes of separation, we come to see that there is no separation, no separation, no separation. It's absolutely zero separation. All is arising from the one self. All is the one self. And as our eyes are opening wider, as our heart is opening wider, as we're witnessing peace more and more on our journey, we come to find that we become very aware that always arising.